Captain Jack Monroe stood still under the twin suns of Orcs 9. The jungle moon was hot, sticky, and full of buzzing alien bugs. Jack hated it. Wiped the sweat off his brow and shifted the heavy plasma rifle on his shoulder. He wasn't here to fight today. He was here to protect the humans and the insect-like aliens. The Threxery were holding peace talks after 10 years of Cold War. The jungle clearing had been turned into a temporary diplomatic garden with bright flowers, vines, and tall glass panels. Alien guards buzzed around, their sharp mandibles clicking. Human soldiers stood stiffly, unsure if they should salute or just try not to vomit. Jack leaned against a stone pillar, watching the strange creatures with a mix of boredom and caution. His job, keep the peace? Keep the queen safe? Queen Zeltheri was the ruler of the Threxery Empire. Tall, graceful, and covered in chitinous armor that shimmered green and gold in the sun. She looked both terrifying and royal. She had 4 arms, 2 legs, and glowing blue eyes that seemed to look through people. She walked with calm power, her wings folded behind her back. Even the human diplomats gave her nervous glances. Jack had seen many strange things in his years as a soldier, but nothing like her. She stepped up to the speaking platform and began a speech in her own clicking language. A translator device near her turned her words into English. We stand today between war and peace. Let this meeting be the path to unity. ... Jack zoned out a bit. Speeches were never his thing, but something felt off. His eyes scanned the treetops. One of the leaves twitched, but there was no wind. Jack's instincts kicked in. He turned his head sharply, squinting at a shadow above the queen's platform. Something glinted metal. A weapon. Time slowed. Jack saw the faint blur of something slicing through the air. A poisoned arrow. It moved fast, silent, and deadly. It aimed straight at the queen's heart. He didn't think. He didn't hesitate, Jack dropped his rifle and sprinted. He leaped onto the platform, shoving a shocked Threxery guard out of the way. Queen's glowing eyes widened as he crashed in front of her. The arrow slammed into his chest. Pain exploded in Jack's body. His vision blurred. The world tilted. He collapsed at the queen's feet. Screams echoed. Guards rushed in. Human soldiers pointed their rifles. Chaos erupted. Jack barely heard it. His breathing grew shallow. The poison was burning through his veins. His armor was no match for alien toxins. He saw the queen kneel beside him. Her hand, cold and strange, touched his forehead. He tried to speak, but only coughed blood. Then, ... Darkness. Jack awoke in a soft, glowing room. He blinked. The ceiling pulsed with gentle light, and the air smelled like sweet herbs and metal. Strange machines beeped softly beside him. He tried to move. Pain flared in his chest. Do not struggle, said a deep, calm voice. Jack turned his head. Queen Zeltheri stood beside his bed, surrounded by insectoid attendants in royal armor. You live, she said. Your body resisted the poison. Better than expected? Jack groaned. Great. That's what I get for saving your bug, but... The queen tilted her head. You acted with honor. Jack coughed again. Well, can't have peace talks with a dead queen. Silence fell. Then she said something that made every attending Threxery freeze. You performed the bonding deed. Daka blinked. The what now? She stepped closer. Her eyes glowed brighter. In Threxery tradition, one who willingly risks their life to protect the royal bloodline has declared their soul bond. This is sacred, binding. Jack frowned. You mean, you must marry me, she said calmly. Jack sat up too fast and winced. Hold on, I just got stabbed by a poisoned arrow. Now I'm getting married? It is the law, she said, and also, ... my choice. Jack stared at her. Do I get a say in this? Yes, she replied, but rejecting the bond may dishonor both our species. Your leaders already know. They approve. Jack groaned again. Of course they do. He lay back, eyes closed, trying to process everything. He saved an alien queen. Now he was engaged to her. And the worst part? He wasn't entirely sure he hated the idea. That night, Jack sat on a balcony overlooking the alien city. Towering hives stretched into the sky like glowing thorns. Flying creatures zipped through the air, and bioluminescent vines wrapped around the buildings. It was beautiful, in a weird nightmare bug way. The queen joined him silently. She wore a ceremonial robe made of silk-like threads, draped over her armored form. "You are recovering quickly," she said. "Yeah," Jack muttered. "Thanks." "To your weird jelly medicine?" "Real healing serum," she corrected. "It works." They sat in silence for a while. Finally, Jack asked, "Did you really mean it?" "About the bond?" "Yes," she said simply. "I will not force you." But in our culture, such an act is not just bravery. It is a sign of true loyalty. We believe the soul speaks in those moments. Jack chuckled bitterly. "Well, my soul didn't have time to vote. My legs just moved." Zeltheri tilted her head. "Still, you jumped between me and death. Not many would." Jack shrugged. "I've seen enough war. I didn't want to see more. That arrow, it wasn't just aimed at you. It was aimed at peace." The queen's wings fluttered softly. "You speak wisely for a mammal," she said. Jack gave her a sideways glance. "You know, if we're going to get married, maybe stop calling me mammal. Kind of a mood killer." She made a sound, half laugh, half buzz. "I will consider it." The next morning, news spread across the stars. Human soldier saves Threxery. Queen Sacred Bond declared. Unexpected wedding may seal galactic peace. On Earth, people argued if Jack was a hero or crazy. On Threxery worlds, millions watched the footage of the arrow frozen mid-flight, Jack diving the impact. The fall. Over and over in the Jungle Moon's royal hive, Jack was given new clothing, new quarters, and a growing list of lessons on Threxery court customs. Hated every minute. But every time he saw Zeltheri, he felt something strange. Not fear. Not anger. Something closer to ... curiosity. And maybe something else, too. But not everyone was happy. In the shadows of the hive, deep beneath the garden platform, a figure in dark armor hissed in anger. "How did he survive?" the assassin asked another. Voice, low and cold, replied, "The human is stronger than expected, but he will not live to marry our queen." The camera panned to a wall full of weapons, poisons, and plans. The next move must not fail. Captain Jack Monroe never thought his job would lead to marriage, especially not to an alien queen. He stood stiffly in front of a mirror inside a golden chamber deep in the hive palace. His clothes were gone. In their place, he now wore something that looked like a cross between royal robes and high-tech armor. Smooth silver plates covered his chest and shoulders. A long blue sash with glowing alien runes hung from his waist. It looked ridiculous. It also cost more than a battle cruiser. A Threxery attendant buzzed near him. "You must adjust your posture. You are the queen's chosen." Jack sighed. "I didn't choose anything." Still he straightened. The door hissed open. Queen Zeltheri entered, tall and shining in her ceremonial armor.
Nice.
Her eyes met his in the mirror. "You look less sloppy than usual," she said. Jack grinned. "Thanks. I try." Zeltheri's eyes narrowed, but the edge of her mouth curled slightly a small smile. It's Threxery style. "We have guests to meet," she said. "High caste nobles, military leaders. They demand to see the one who bonded with me." Jack followed. Her down-glowing hallways filled with alien artwork and buzzing guards. Threxery servants bowed as they passed.
Oh.
Some stared at Jack with confusion. Others looked angry. "I take it your people aren't thrilled about this?" he asked. "They are ... divided," Zeltheri replied. "Some see you as a hero, as others see you as a mistake." "Great. I love a warm welcome." They entered a grand throne room, shaped like a giant honeycomb. The walls shimmered with green light. Threxery nobles stood in a semicircle tall, armored and cold-eyed. Among them was a larger figure with red-tinted armor and long claw-like arms. General Kryn, Zeltheri's cousin. Kryn stepped forward. "This is the human?" he asked, voice dripping with disapproval. Jack raised an eyebrow. And you must be the Queen's angry uncle or cousin or something? I am the commander of the Royal Claw, Kryn said sharply. I will not bow to a soft-shelled outsider. Zelthari's voice turned sharp. He saved my life, Kryn. That gives him honor greater than any title. Kryn's mandibles clicked. Perhaps. But the Threxery Empire does not run on emotion. We run on strength, tradition, and blood. Jack folded his arms. Then, maybe it's time your tradition learned something new. Gasps filled the room. Kryn's eyes burned, but he said nothing more. Zelthari led Jack away, back in private. Chambers Jack slumped onto a smooth stone bench. That guy's a treat, he said. Kryn is dangerous, Zelthari replied. He hides behind tradition, but he wants the throne. If I die, he takes power. Jack sat up. So the arrow was at him? Zelthari looked away. We are still investigating, but yes, suspect him. Jack frowned. Then why the hell are we pretending everything's fine? Because if we accuse him without proof, we risk civil war, she said. The Threxery Empire is large, divided. One wrong move, and everything we've built with your people collapses. Jack sighed. So, I play the royal boyfriend and hope I don't get stabbed again. Zelthari didn't answer directly. She walked to the window, wings twitching. You are not just a symbol now, Jack. You are a bridge between species, between old ways and new. Jack looked at her. And what about us? She turned slowly. What about us? Jack shrugged. Are we just acting? Or is this real for you? Zelthari stepped closer, her gaze intense. I do not bond lightly. You risked your life for me, not for power, not for gain, but because it was right. That means something. Jack swallowed. Her presence felt overwhelming, but not in a bad way. It means something to me too, he said quietly. They stood there, in silence, not as queen and soldier, not as alien and human, but as two people caught in something bigger than both of them. Later that night, Jack couldn't sleep. He wandered the palace halls, unsure what to think. Was he really ready for this? Marriage? Politics? Alien royalty? He turned a corner and stopped. Two Threxery guards were speaking in whispers. He stayed hidden behind a pillar. Second attempt tonight. Kryn wants the human gone before the ceremony, one said. Poisoned wine. Already placed in his chamber, said the other. Jack's jaw clenched. So it was. Kryn. And he wasn't waiting for politics to settle things. Jack moved silently, then slipped away toward Zelthari's private chamber. He tapped the entry code she'd given him earlier. The door opened. She was alone, standing in front of a glowing table. He stepped in quickly. We've got a problem. They met with her loyal advisors immediately. Al 3 ordered a sweep. Of Jack's room, the wine was found, deadly venom, sealed inside a crystal bottle. Proof. Krope's KRINN moves faster than I thought, she said, her voice tight with anger. He knows time is against him. What do we do? Jack asked. We give him a stage, she replied, but on our terms. The next morning, the palace announced a public ceremony and official royal engagement ritual. Millions would watch. Across Threxery and human systems, Kryn would be forced to attend. The Queen's message was clear. We stand together. Try and stop us. In the great arena, built from black stone and pulsing crystals, Jack stood beside Zelthari on a raised platform. Thousands of Threxery citizens filled the seats, clicking and buzzing with excitement or suspicion. KRINN sat in the front row, arms folded. Jack felt his blood boil. He wanted to punch the smug alien right in his mandibles. Zelthari squeezed his arm lightly. Patience. The ceremony began. A high priest of the hive sang in an eerie tone. Strange symbols lit up across the stage. A bonding flame glowed between Jack and the Queen. The moment came. Jack placed his hand in hers. I vow to stand beside you, he said loudly, his voice steady. To fight for peace. To protect your people as I did once, and and will again. Voice echoed through the arena. And I accept your bond, as queen, as a warrior, and as your chosen. The crowd roared. Some cheered. Others buzzed in confusion. But all watched KRNN stood slowly, eyes locked on Jack. He walked onto the stage. My queen, he said, loud enough for all to hear. This union dishonors our ancestors. Zelthor returned, eyes cold. Do you challenge my right? I challenge the human, Kryn said, to trial combat. Let his strength decide if he is worthy. The crowd hissed with excitement. Zeltheri looked to Jack. You do not have to accept, she said quietly. Jack cracked his knuckles. I think it's about time I hit that smug face of his. The trial would take place the next day. Jack was given weapons to choose from: plasma blades, electric nets, or his own fists. He chose the fists. Zeltheri stood beside him as the arena was prepared. You are brave. She said no. Jack replied, I'm just tired of bugmen trying to kill me. She touched his forehead with her Zthrexery gesture of closeness. Win, she said. I plan to. As the sun rose over the jungle moon, Jack stepped into the arena, KRINN. Waited, armed with a long spear that shimmered with dark energy. Jack rolled his shoulders. Let's dance, bug boy. The arena of Threxery Prime was alive with noise. Thousands of insectoid aliens sat in tall, hive-shaped stands. They buzzed, clicked, and hissed with excitement. The duel between Captain Jack Monroe and General Kryn was more than just a fight. It was a war of ideas. Old versus new. Hatred versus peace. And Jack. He was the unexpected center of it all. He stood shirtless in the center ring, muscles tense, fists clenched. The morning heat clung to his skin. His chest still held a scar where the poisoned arrow had struck him. Across from him stood Kryn, armored and deadly. His body was bigger than Jack's, built like a tank with jagged armor and glowing red eyes. He held a long energy spear with deadly grace. Jack had chosen to fight barehanded, not because he was arrogant, because he wanted to prove a point. You may throw the first strike, Human Kryn sneered, voice dripping with disgust. Jack didn't. Speak, he moved fast. He ducked under the first swing of the spear, rolled forward, and landed a hard punch to Kryn's ribs. It was like punching steel. Jack gritted his teeth and dodged back. Kryn laughed. Is that all? The next swing nearly sliced Jack's arm. He stepped sideways, grabbed a chunk of broken stone from the arena floor, and threw it. The rock hit Kryn square in the face. The crowd gasped. Jack smirked. Guess your face isn't as tough as your attitude? Kryn roared and charged. Spear. Spinning high above in the royal balcony, Queen Zeltheri watched closely. Her wings were folded, her expression unreadable. But her eyes followed every move Jack made. Beside her stood two of her loyal guards. One leaned in and whispered, Shall we interfere if the human falls? No, she said softly. This is his fight, his test. If he wins with honor. If he falls, then we will see the truth of Kryn's heart. We're down in the arena. The fight was growing brutal. Kryn slammed the butt of his spear into Jack's side. Jack hit the ground hard, coughing. Blood ran from his lip. Kryn stood over him. You are weak. Soft. This empire needs strength. Jack looked up, smiling through the pain. Maybe that's why it's been broken for so long. He grabbed Kryn's leg and pulled. Kryn stumbled just enough for Jack to get up and slam an elbow into his jaw. The alien general growled and swiped with the spear again. This time, Jack caught the shaft and twisted with a shout. He snapped the spear in half. The crowd roared in shock. Jack tossed the broken weapon aside. Let's see how strong you are without your toys. They brawled hand to claw. Jack took hits, hard ones. His ribs burned. His left arm went numb for a second, but he kept getting back up. He fought like a soldier. Fast, smart, and dirty when he needed to be. Finally, with a shout of raw fury, he slammed both fists into Kryn's. Cheston sent him stumbling back. Kryn tripped on the broken spear and fell flat. Silence filled the arena. Jack stood over him, bloody and breathing hard. He didn't strike. He just said, loud enough for all to hear, "I could kill you right now. But I won't, because I'm not here to rule by fear. I'm here because I believe in peace. I believe in her." He turned to Zelthari and pointed. "She's not your weakness. She's your future." The crowd exploded in sound cheers, buzzes, and howls of respect. Krinn lay on the ground, stunned and humiliated. Guards moved in to take him. Jack walked away, chest rising and falling, blood dripping from his knuckles. Later that night, the hive was alive with lights and celebration. Jack sat in a private chamber, shirt off, wounds being treated by a medical drone. The pain was dull now. His body was bruised, but his heart beat steady. Zelthari entered quietly. "You should be resting," she said. Jack smiled weakly. "Not really the resting type." She walked to him, silent for a moment. "You had every right to kill him, I know," Jack replied. "But then I'd just be another warlord." Zelthari looked at him carefully. "You surprised them?" "Even me," Jack chuckled. "I surprise myself sometimes." She stepped closer, placed a hand gently on his shoulder. "What you did today changed everything." Jack looked up into her glowing eyes. "And what happens now?" "You move forward," she said. "Together, as bonded. Not just by duty, but by choice." He stood slowly. "Then I choose you," he said, voice low. "And I choose you," she whispered. Their hands touched. Her clawed fingers gently wrapped around his. No translators, no speeches, just understanding, but far away, beyond the hive. Something stirred. A dark ship hovered just outside Varix 9's moon shield, inside. Strange figures watched the ceremony. Broadcast. Tall, thin, cold, dash-eyed. They were not Threxery. They were not human. They were the Zinthara, hidden alien race known only to a few. Ancient, patient, and deadly. One of them, dressed in black robes, turned to the others. "The bonding has happened." Another nodded. "The union between insect and mammal, ... will shift power." "They must be stopped," said a third. The lead figure raised a clawed finger. "Then let us prepare." The hive breaker. Back on the moon, Jack stood on the balcony of his new chambers. The stars stretched above him. The alien city shimmered with light. And beside him, Zelthari stood, still watching the sky. "Do you think your people will accept me?" Jack asked. She answered softly. "Some already do. Others will follow. They always follow truth." He looked at her. "And what about your heart?" She turned her glowing eyes to him. "My heart has already chosen." Jack smiled. First time since this all began, he felt peace. But deep inside, he also felt something else. A warning. Sense that the real battle hadn't even started yet. Captain Jack Monroe was still healing from his fight with General Krinn. But peace didn't last long on Threxery Prime. It started with a strange signal. A deep humming noise came from the outer moons. Threxery scouts picked it up first, then human satellites picked it up too. It wasn't a natural sound. It wasn't friendly either. Jack stood beside Queen Zelthari in the command hall. Holograms floated in the air, showing the signal, the location, in a blurry shape approaching the edge of the star system. "What is that?" Jack asked, frowning. Zelthari stared at the shape, her face serious. Not Threxery, not human. An advisor buzzed forward. "My queen, we believe the object is a warship. Unknown design. No response to hails. No identity code. It just ... watches." "Is it attacked?" Jack asked. "Not yet," the advisor replied. "But it is moving closer, slowly, like it's waiting." Jack looked at Zelthari. "I don't like this." "Neither do I," she said. "Something is coming. Something old." The next day, the unknown ship entered the outer atmosphere of a dead moon. It didn't land. It floated above the surface like a predator waiting for its prey. Human and Threxery military teams sent drones to investigate. Only one drone returned with a single word burned into its system. Hivebreaker. That night, Zeltheri stood with her council. Jack sat beside her, now fully armored in silver and dark blue. He looked more like a knight than a soldier. The Zinther said, an elder Threxery scientist. Long thought extinct. Cold-blooded conquerors. They live in shadows. They hate. All bonds of emotion, especially royal ones. Zeltherius' wings twitched. Why would they come now? Because of your union, the elder said. A peace between Threxery and humans threatens their silence. They want war, fear, and division. Jack shook his head. So they've been hiding all this time, and now they're ready to strike because we fell in love. The room went quiet, basically. Yes, the scientist said. Zeltheri stood tall. Then we defend ourselves, protect our people, together. But the Zinther didn't wait. Within hours, dark pods fell from the sky, silent black ships shaped like daggers. They landed in the jungle regions of Threxery Prime and unleashed soldiers unlike any Jack had ever seen. Tall, pale, insect-like. Armor. No faces. No voices, only death. They moved quickly, burning trees, destroying small outposts, and leaving behind glowing marks in the soil, shaped like a broken hive. Zeltherius' forces fought back hard, but these things didn't die easily. Plasma shots barely slowed them. Blades shattered against their armor. Jack led a strike team into the jungle, fought hand-to-hand with one of the creatures. It was like fighting a ghost with steel bones. Fast, strong, cold. He finally brought it down by pulling a power line from a fallen ship and electrocuting it. When the smoke cleared, only a black shell remained. What the hell are these things? He asked, breathing hard. His cum crackled. Captain Monroe. The Queen requests your return. It's urgent. Back at the palace, Zeltheri stood over a dark figure kneeling in chains. It was Krina. Alive. Humble. Changed. What's he doing here? Jack asked. He escaped the high-security hold, Zeltheri said. But instead of fleeing, he came to warn us. Kryn lifted his head slowly. I know the Zinther, he said. Long ago. I found a broken archive during a war. It told me their secrets, but I was too proud to share. I thought I could protect the Empire without help. Jack frowned. And now? Now I see I was wrong, Kryn said. They will destroy everything unless we fight as one. Jack looked. It's Zeltheri? She gave a small nod. Then we listen. She said, Krinn showed them the hidden symbols of the Zinthor, how they controlled energy, how they feared emotion, and most importantly, how they hated royal bloodlines. The Zinther believed that emotional bonds were a weakness and that the Hive Queen's bond with Jack was the ultimate threat. They see love as a disease, Kryn said. They aim to cure it with fire. Jack clenched his fists, so we give them something else to fear. A new plan was made. Jack and Zeltheri would travel to the edge of the jungle, where the Zinther hive ship floated. A direct strike. But this wasn't just war, it was personal. We'll go together, Zeltheri said. They want to break our bond, so we show them it cannot be broken. Kryn nodded. You'll need me too. I know their tech. I know their minds. Jack didn't trust him fully, but nodded anyway. You pull one trick and I'll bury you myself. Kryn smirked. Understood. The next morning, the three launched in a stealth shuttle toward the Hivebreaker. Shipped it hovered like a dark god over the jungle, silent. Watching as they approached, the surface shifted. It opened like a flower made of knives. We're expected, Jock said. They entered. Inside, it was cold, metallic, and empty. No crew, no signs of life. Just shadows and strange lights. Then they heard it, a voice, not spoken, but inside there. Heads you should not have bonded. Zeltheri stood tall. We did. And we do not regret it. Emotion makes you weak. Your union will end here. Kryn drew his plasma blade. Come face us then. A shape stepped from the dark, Zinther commander. It was tall, pale, and wrapped in armor like living bone. It raised a hand and the walls shifted. Dozens of Zinther soldiers appeared. The final fight had begun. Jack fought with pure will. He dodged. Energy blasts took down 2 enemies with a shock blade, protected Zeltheri as she worked on overloading the ship's power core. Kryn fought beside them, holding the rear line, but it wasn't enough. More Zinther poured in. Jack shouted over the noise, "We're getting overwhelmed." Zeltheri yelled back, "I need more time." Suddenly a Zinther grabbed her from behind. Jack saw it happen. His heart nearly stopped. He ran fast and tackled the enemy, driving his blade deep into its chest. Zeltheri gasped, shaken but alive. Their eyes met. That moment, that bond was stronger than any weapon, and something changed. The ship reacted. The lights flickered. The floor shook. Kryn shouted, their link to emotion. "Your bond is damaging the ship." Jack blinked. "Wait, we can use this." Zeltheri grabbed his hand. "Then we use us." They stood in the center of the hive, hand in hand. Jack spoke with all his heart. "We're not weak. We're strong. Because we fight for something, because we love. And you'll never kill that." The ship screamed. Zinther soldiers began to fall, their bodies shaking. Energy cracking from their armor. The hive structure broke apart, walls splitting. Machines exploding. Jack pulled Zeltheri close. "We've got to run." They dashed 4. The shuttle trended. Krinn followed behind and turned at the last second. "I'll hold them off. You two must live. The Empire needs you." Jack yelled, "Don't be a hero." But Kryn slammed the door. The last they saw of him was his back. Blade in hand as he faced the burning Zinther hive, the shuttle escaped. Behind them, the hivebreaker exploded, draining fire across the jungle sky. The bond had won back on Threxery. Prime, the people celebrated, not just for survival, but for what it meant. Human and Threxery united, not by force, but by choice. Jack and Zeltheri stood before their people side by side, and this time, when the High Priest asked the question, "You accept this bond for strength and for peace?" They answered together, "We do." Weeks had passed since the Hivebreaker was destroyed. The people of Threxery Prime called it the day the sky burned. For the first time in centuries, both humans and Threxery lived in peace. Together, they rebuilt what was broken, Captain. Jack Monroe became a legend, not just because he fought bravely or survived impossible odds, but because he had changed hearts. His love for Queen Zeltheri had become a symbol of hope. But peace, as always, did not last forever. It started during the bonding ceremony's second phase, a sacred event held once every Threxery generation. This time it wasn't just a ceremony. It was history. A human was bonding with a Threxery queen. For the first time ever, it was supposed to be a day of joy. But something dark was already moving in the shadows. Jack stood at the top of the Hive Temple, wearing ceremonial armor polished to a mirror shine. Blue lights shimmered over the curved stone floor. Behind him stood Zeltheri, wings folded, wearing a royal cloak made of starlight silk dot around them. Thousands of guests, Threxery and humans, filled the balconies and walkways. The High Priest stepped forward. "Before us stands the Queen and her champion," said loudly. "Today they bond not just as rulers but as mates. It's one heart, one mind, one future." A low humming of approval echoed from the crowd. Jack glanced at Zeltheri. She gave him a slow nod. He smiled, and then the sky cracked open. An enormous ship appeared in the clouds, black, jagged, silent. But it wasn't Swineshire. The Queen's advisor screamed. Alarms rang. Soldiers scrambled. Jack reached for his sword. "What now?" he growled. From the sky, a beam of green light struck the ground. The light formed a portal. Out of it stepped a single figure. Tall, golden dot, insectoid, dot smooth. Elegant, glowing with ancient power. Zeltheri's eyes widened in fear. "No," she whispered. "It cannot be." Jack stepped beside her. "What is that thing of Orcs?" she said. "A being from the time before Threxery. From the age of the first queens. They ruled before the Empire began. I thought they were myths." The The golden creature spoke, its voice echoing in every mind. You have bonded across blood, across species. You have defiled the ancient order. You must prove your worth, or your world will burn. Jack drew his sword. Let me guess. A final test. Correct, the Vorkai said. A trial of purity. Zeltheri stepped forward. There is no purity without unity. No strength without love. The Vorkai raised a clawed hand. Then your mate will fight. Alone. Jack frowned. Alone. If he truly is the Queen's champion, let him face the trial of void. The floor below Jack opened suddenly and he fell. Zeltheri screamed his name, but he vanished into darkness. Jack landed hard. He was in a dark cave. The air was cold. No light, no sound. Just the slow echo of dripping water. A voice echoed. This is the void. It shows your truth. Your fear, your soul. Suddenly figures appeared in the darkness, copies of Jack. Soldiers, corpses, friends he'd lost, mistakes he'd made. They all stepped forward, eyes glowing. You failed us. You let us die. You're not a hero. You're just lucky. Jack shook his head. No, you're not real. They came at him, fast and cruel. He fought hand to hand, each punch filled with guilt and memory. For every figure he struck down, another took its place. His body bled. His heart burned. But he refused to give up. He shouted through the darkness, I'm not perfect. I've made mistakes. But I stand for something now. I stand for her. Light exploded from his chest. The shadows screamed and vanished, and the voice whispered, You have passed. Right. Jack awoke on a floating platform. Above him stood the Vorkai. You carry strength not from power, but from bond. You have changed. The code of the stars. Jack stood, shaking but alive. So, did I win? The Vorkai tilted its head. Not yet. It raised a hand. Another portal opened, and out stepped another. Human, tall, armed, scarred, wearing an old Earth's military uniform. Jack blinked. What the hell? Zeltherius' voice echoed across the link in his ear. Jack, that's your old squad mate, Captain Reeve. Reeve smiled coldly. Long time no see, Jack. Jack stepped forward. I thought you were dead. Reeve laughed.
I was, but the Vorkai found me.
They made me stronger, faster, better. Jack's hands clenched. Then why are you here? To finish what you started, Reeve said. I'm the real champion. They fought. Fist to fist. Blade to blade. That platform shook beneath. Then Reeve was faster. Jack was smarter. Every strike was personal. Jack remembered Reeve as a brother, a man who saved his life more than once. But something in Reeve had broken. The Vorkai had twisted him into a weapon. You think love makes you strong? Reeve growled. It makes you soft. No, Jack said, ducking under a punch. It makes me dangerous. He slammed Reeve with a punch so strong it cracked the platform. Reeve staggered. Jack raised his blade. Reeve spat blood. Do it, but Jack paused. No, drop the sword. I won't kill my past. I'll carry it. The Vorkai appeared beside them. I chose mercy. I chose love, Jack said. Then the trial is complete. Woken. Zeltheri's arms. The crowd cheered wildly. The Vorkai. Ship was gone. Only peace remained. The priest raised his arms. By trial and fire, the Queen's champion has proven his soul. Let the bond be sealed. Zeltheri placed her clawed hand in Jack's. They looked at each other. No fear, no lies, just truth. And together they spoke. We are one. The bond was sealed. A wave of light spread across the city. Two species became one united empire. Humans and Threxri began to share science, build ships together. Dream together, Jack and Zeltheri became more than rulers. They became symbols, not of war, but of what happens when love crosses galaxies. When one man steps in front of a poisoned arrow, and changes the future of a world forever.